Good morning, everybody. Game time, Brian, otherwise known as the mailman, but not today. Not today, my friends. It is a Sunday. We are relaxing today. It's been a busy week. I will get outside and do a couple things, but not much. I needed to get back in here into my mama's basement, getting some thumbnails done, some videos queued up. It's time to get to work, people. We sit here, I don't know, 3 days away. One, two, three. 3 days away from Cowboys players reporting to camp. Yes, I said reporting to camp. I mean, listen, I don't know how you could not be excited. Again, they're not going to take the field until Thursday. But it's been a boring, long off season. I want to thank all the subscribers. We are on the precipice of 30,000 subscribers. I never thought I could get here this fast. It's been a lot of hard work and hundreds. We're talking 600 videos since August, something like that. I've been putting a lot of work in. I think that's the key. Anybody out there who wants to be successful, just put the work in. I'm not the best with the computers and all this, but I'm learning as I go with the help of some of the people I care about. So I really appreciate everybody who give me a hand. Be that as it may, my guy Mark, I'm going to do a video on you next, my man. Yes, I will. You got it coming to you, brother. But anyway, we sit here with a lot of question marks and not many answers. But the good thing about it is this is the first time in a long time that I'm very actually excited about the team. As we, a lot of training camps, it's full of veterans, right? Nobody wants to play. Everybody that's playing in the preseason games are either practice squad, camp bodies. Now, you're going to see some of that, but there are so many battles that have to be won in camp that it's exciting to me. Starting with first and foremost, Trey Lance. We've talked about it. Trey Lance is going to get an opportunity. I'm going to stick to, it's hand in hand with the Dak Prescott contract, and we'll get to that later. But Trey Lance has every opportunity to be a part of this team, to be the guy going forward. As I stated earlier in previous videos, that he struggled a bit with certain things, mainly timing. I mean, he's been here since the trade deadline, right? Mid-season, a little later on in the season last year, all off season. He looks like a linebacker, they're saying. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but he looks like a linebacker. So my guess to stay more durable. He's put on a lot more muscle mass. He's going to get every opportunity, plenty of reps. Some of the deficiencies can be overcome. Now, they said he's made strides with his footwork and everything, and this is where I pointed out before, the quarterback guru, Kyle Flatbrim Shanahan. There we go. Hey, let there be light. Kyle Flatbrim Shanahan. You would have thought he would have got the footwork done and like a lot of the mechanical things. Maybe he did and he regressed. I find it hard to believe that Kyle couldn't get him at least fundamentally sound, which is what we had to do when he got here. Basically started from the ground up with this man, Trey Lance. Now, I think he has an uphill battle because like I've said all along, I'm okay moving on from Dak Prescott if we have a real substitution, a real answer for that position. People can say whatever they want. Most of the people who hate Dak, and I say most, I don't mean you, Kid Cowboy. I don't mean you, Leo the Greek. I don't. You guys are clearly, or the delusional Dak fan. Dak delusional. We get it. You guys don't like that. I don't like the fact that we are 2-5 under Dak in the playoffs. I don't. But I also don't like the fact that once you get past Troy Aikman, it has been a quarterback hell since Romo that we got lucky on, and then we got lucky again on Dak. They wanted no part of Dak Prescott until the scouts brought him up yet again. Remember, that was a draft where they wanted Paxton Lynch. And the Denver Broncos traded up and stole Paxton Lynch right from under our noses, thank God. And then they wanted Connor Cook. Michigan State, I believe, put in the comments, but I believe it's Michigan State, a state quarterback, and we missed him. And Dak his tag is blinking, blinking, blinking. Now, I remember, I believe Jason Garrett was the Senior Bowl a coach for that team, and he loved Dak. And Jason Garrett, shout out to Coach Clapp, one of the few. I had no problem with Jason Garrett. He had 5 years, and then he probably should have been gone. Problem is, Dallas doesn't like firing coaches and paying them. So once we started a new 5-year contract, they weren't getting rid of him. Dallas is like that rich, the old adage, the rich only get richer. The rich are rich because they hoard all their money. Everybody wants to think, well, remember the old trickle down economics? The idea with that is, let's let the rich people, let's give them all the tax breaks. Let's give them everything because they're going to eat and trickle down to us, just regular Americans, just looking for crumbs. The problem is they don't reinvest. You know what I mean? They just hoard their money. So Jerry's been, Jerry got lucky there. He got lucky with Dak. We've been getting lucky. So now's, Dak's agent wasn't willing to give us a long-term deal last time around, last negotiation. Why? Because we made Dak play under the 5th-year option and then franchise tagged him. And that was their response to that. They weren't happy. But in that deal, they included a no-trade clause. So that was huge. Huge, huge, huge. So it's just very, very frustrating. But getting back to the camp battles, then we'll go into a couple clips regarding his said quarterback. But what makes me excited about the Dallas Cowboys training camp this year is Cooper Beebe. Is Cooper Beebe going to crack the starting lineup? I believe Brock Hoffman is going to start I know he's going to start training camp, just like Chuma Edoga is probably going to start at left tackle. But I think that would be a mistake. I think Guyton needs to be the starter from day one, get as many reps as he can, and let him work his way out of the starting position. Cooper Beebe, we'll see, but he's going to be fundamentally a upgrade if it were him over Tyler Biadasz, or how Stephen Jones, Tyler Biadasz. I don't know. I thought it was Biadasz, but Biadasz. Biadasz got blown up every time through the middle. So, again, Terrence Steele, a year removed from his offensive right tackle spot from his ACL. We're moving on from Tyron. Yeah, it'll hurt at times, but Tyron was a ticking time bomb when it came to injuries. You know what I'm saying? You're sticking with the offense. You got the emergence of not one, but two tight ends that I am unbelievably excited about. John Stevens Jr., who they had last year, who was the best tight end in camp, who suffered an ACL. In camp, he's looking good. I'm ready for him to get back in there and be ready to roll. Brevin Ford, rookie, undrafted, 6'6", beast, looks phenomenal. He should have been drafted. The Cowboys had a 5th-round grade on him. Raw, big boy, athletic, very, very. I can't wait to see him hit the field. Obviously, the battles that ensue at wide receiver, Jalen Tolbert, Jalen Brooks, David Durden coming back from, I believe it's David. Maybe it's Tyler Durden. I always forget his name, but he had an ACL. Rumor has it he was the 53 guy last year. He was going to make the team as number 53, assuming he didn't tear his ACL. I don't know that I believe that, but and the running backs, right? The running backs, you would think. I want to see a lot of Nathaniel Pete to see what he has. He's a restricted running back that we got via free agent after the draft. Has huge speed, major speed, but he's not the most. He's a one cut type guy, downhill runner, kind of light. We'll see. Um, Again, upside, probably practice squad. So, you know, early, early with him, maybe we can, if they get a diamond in the rough. That would be great. You know, then moving on to the defensive side. Defense, defense, defense. We drafted Marshawn Nealon. That was a shock to everybody in the second round. Marshawn Nealon can stop the run right now. He could roll out of bed and stop the run. The guys like Brian Broaddus say he's not very bendy, which they don't. Brian doesn't really expect or love the pick, to be honest, because they don't think he can get to the quarterback. He doesn't have enough bend to actually rush the passer. He sees him as a rotational piece. Now, we've heard this many times before, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, he actually could do it. Look at Micah. Nobody thought he could play edge rusher, right? Yeah, he came into camp day one, and that's exactly what he was doing, dominating. So we'll see. If Marshawn Nealon can indeed add pass rush, then my God, that could be huge. That's exciting. Sam Williams getting more reps, being the guy in the rotation, like more. He had 7.5 sacks with part-time play last year. He's huge. He's fast. He does seem to make a lot of mental mistakes. Remember in the playoff game a couple years ago, lining up in the neutral zone, not once, but, oh no, that was, yeah, like the false starts and stuff. You can't do that. You're jumping. You're trying to get a jump. He's going to get his opportunity. Dorrance Armstrong is gone. Dante Fowler Jr. is gone. He's going to get his opportunity to excel and go to great heights, which we're all crossing our fingers, or he's not, and then he's going to be gone or traded. But I think Mike Zimmer is the perfect coach for him. And obviously Micah. Micah has to expand his repertoire. He just can't be like 100 miles an hour all the time. I can't wait to see how Mike Zimmer is going to use him. We probably won't see much of that in the preseason. It's probably all going to be hush hush behind the scene. I believe they're going to line him up more from the actual linebacker spot, which is why they were okay with drafting Marshawn Nealon. They have Sam Williams. You have some pieces there. You got D. Law on the final year of his deal. Who knows whether he's gone after the year? They may, it'll be interesting. It'll be very, very interesting to see how that plays out. Linebacker, Maris Leofau. They love, I was critical of that pick. He wasn't the best linebacker on Notre Dame, but Mike Zimmer is drooling every time he sees this kid. I'm not going to say comparisons, but when you see him, you can make your own. Hawaiian guy, Samoan guy, big hair. You do the math, but they love what they see. So who am I? Will McClay gets paid to do the, handsomely to evaluate. I get paid handsomely to deliver the mail. So we'll see. But they love Marist. And don't forget, Junior Fehoko is back from an injury. He missed most of last year. They brought in Eric Kendricks, who they'll probably use sparingly because he's a vet. DeMarvion Overshown is looking like a beast. He put on a lot of weight, upper body weight, muscle to do the wear and tear, flying around. Trayvon Diggs has ramped it up, flying around, And real quick before I get into the Dak, because I want to play a couple clips. Everybody keeps hitting me up about, hey, well, what do you... what do you think about Stephon Gilmore? Well, listen. Stephon Gilmore is doing the right thing. He wants to be in Dallas or be paid $7 million by another team. That's what he wants. So he's going to wait for an injury or for players not to develop because we got players like Israel Mukwamu, Eric Scott Jr., um, the guys like that that need to, Nashawn Wright, guys like that who need play. Not to mention the human seatbelt that we drafted out of Wake Forest, Kalen Carson, who they love. They love him. Who reminds him of Deron Bland, but he's in your he's an awesome a cover corner who's up in your grill. So you get the instincts of the of a Bland, but the actual fundamentals of a lockdown corner. Now he has to do it, people, but that's what the upside is. So Gilmore should wait, but just remember, if Gilmore was that coveted, now we're starting to hear. I was listening to Broadus where they said as the year went on, he kind of wasn't as sticky to receivers as he was early in the year. He wasn't being as aggressive. And if he was, here you go. We got a team right down 95 here, 2.5, 3 hours from me. The Washington left hand up Commanders, right? They have over $37 million in cap space, and they have a suspect, a cornerback room. And yet Dan Quinn, his own defensive coordinator, has not signed him. Think about that. Think about that. That's very telling. Dan Quinn, if Dan Quinn wanted him, Dan Quinn has to spend more money or sign people to eat up to get to 89% of the a cap a space used for this year. Again, how the cap works. You got to spend like 98% of the cap over a 4-year period. But any given year, you don't have to do that. But the bottom line threshold is like 89, anywhere from 86 to 89%. You have to spend. Well, they have 37 million, so they need to spend a little bit more money to get over the minimal. So if they wanted him, they could get him. He's sitting out there saying, pick me, pick me. They didn't do that. So just hold off on Stephon Gilmore. God forbid we have an issue. Don't forget we got Jordan Lewis coming back. We have a lot of bodies there. We need to see. We need to see who actually can play. Nashawn Wright, it's now or never, you know. We have a lot of guys like that that's now or never. I love Israel Mukwamu, but there's a reason why he can't stay on the field. He's not been hurt, you know. So we have a lot of question marks. Who's going to win the safety battle, right? Wanye Thomas, Marquise Bell. We know that you got Malik Hooker all the way back. You got Donovan Wilson. To me, possible trade guys coming out of the camp. This team never does anything thinking out of the box like Howie Roseman does, just 35 minutes down the street. He will do that. Okay, we have an abundance. The Dallas Cowboys have an abundance of interior linemen. Okay, if everybody stays healthy, and that's a big if, we get towards the end of camp, if everybody's looking good or most of the guys looking good and you still have way too many bodies, you're not going to cut somebody and try and sneak them to the practice squad. Trade them. TJ Bass has started games. No, I love TJ. I hope he stays around. But I'm just saying, he's a potential guy who could actually give you a one technique in return. Okay? If Eric Scott is good but not great, maybe you flip him. Maybe Washington. Dan Quinn loved Eric Scott. Look for a Jonathan Ridgeway for an Eric Scott. I've been calling it for 3 months, for crying out loud. He's the one that wanted us to trade a 5th this year and a 6th last year to draft Eric Scott. They did it, and now the Quinn's gone. And Quinn's, his secondary is not great. So if we're looking good with Kalen Carson and, Diggs looks good, and we got Bland, and we got Jordan Lewis, and we got Mukwamu, we got Nashawn Wright. We have a lot of bodies. Then maybe we could flip him for Jonathan Ridgeway. That would help with our run. On the defensive side, if everybody's looking good, if Marquise Bell is sliding into the box, Wanye Thomas picks up where he left off, maybe a Donovan Wilson becomes expendable. I don't know. I don't know what Zimmer feels or who he likes and who he doesn't like. I don't know. But these are is some names that you could actually bring back some high class, high talent in return. Let's be creative, Stephen Jones. Let's be creative. Because Stephen Jones at this point is annoying. And getting to Stephen Jones, let's listen to a little bit of Stephen Jones on what's his name? Scoop City. Scoop City, ex-quarterback, Daniels. I believe he went to Missouri. Let's listen to a little bit of Scoop City and hear our fearless leader, Stephen Jones.
Right now, in talks of the Dallas Cowboys here, we got to get to it. The word when, right? When is the only word I can think of when I think of you, right? Because I'm thinking, when is Dak getting done? When is CD getting done? When is Micah getting done? When is Mike McCarthy getting done? When? So when will we have some answers here, Stephen?
Well, those things take time, and we're talking about deals here. When you're talking about CD and Dak and, somebody like a Micah coming up. I mean, you're talking about two players that aren't quarterbacks that feel like they ought to be a little bit like Jefferson, the top paid 9 quarterbacks in the league. And then, of course, you have Dak, who's obviously his resume speaks for itself. I think, he was second MVP voting last year. He's just had an extraordinary career here in Dallas. And, those things just take time when you're talking about the amount of money involved. And, of course, we're trying to a little bit play Houdini and how to keep all these guys around Dak and keep these players we were fortunate enough to draft. And, when you start stacking them up like that, it's a challenge. It's not that it's not doable, but you certainly got to, have some give and take if you want to do that. I know the Vikings there with Jefferson when they, made that inordinate deal at the receiver spot. They don't have one player on their team other than Jefferson making over $20 million. And, of course, we got a big one in Dak, and we got Diggs right there, and then you got Zach Martin and D-Law. And so we got a lot of guys making, quite a bit of money. And, it's no excuses.
It isn't.
We think we can get this done. No, we can get it done. But it just takes time.
Are you confident, Stephen, that you can get Dak done? Because, as you know, he's in the last year of his contract. Mike McCarthy's in the last year of his contract. Those are the two most important positions in all of sports, really. A head football coach and his quarterback, they're both going into sort of lame duck years. And what happens if you can't get Dak done? Is there a deadline? Is he going to set it? Do you guys have a deadline to be set?
Well, the answer.
Here's the deal. The deadline should have been last year. Here's my problem, okay? Here's my problem. We don't know, but it seems like every time it can't be, well, the agent didn't want to do a deal. Well, the agent, because you see it all the time. You're going to, again, I would have liked to have them to reached out right after the season, right? Think about it. Right after the season, I'm not saying like the next day, but a month after the season, talk to the agent, and see if they're going to get something done. It really doesn't matter when you really sit back and think. He was going to get, even if they got lucky, he was going to get 53 to 55. That's just what he's going to get. Whether it's us or with anybody. Now, if he hits the open market, it'll go up higher. Once he leaves Dallas, then it's, hey, situation and $60 million, here we come. I don't think he's getting $60 million with Dallas. I just don't. But I just have a problem with Steven and timing of contracts, and you see other organizations do it. So I think he's full of, I would love to say the word, but I think he's full of crap at times. So makes too many excuses. But let's listen to what he's got to say.
The answer to that question is we are optimistic that we can get these guys done. I know Dak, our goal is to get him done. He knows that. We're having conversations and, with his agent, with Dak personally, both Jerry and myself. And he knows our goal is to keep him here. He also understands the challenges. And, you see, what happens to teams when you do have these high-priced quarterbacks. At some point, it's a challenge to keep everybody. Obviously, the Chiefs are an example of that, but they were able to, survive not keeping Tyreek Hill. And, some other top players. I think
okay.
they let, one of the top corners in the league go this year, after this season. So, you have to make some tough choices along the way, but we're optimistic that we can do that. And we'll continue to grind away on that. I know, between fans and media, that's your job, is to ask when and can you and what happens if you don't. But, our eyes on the ball and in terms of getting these things done, and we're not thinking about what happens if you don't. We're trying to get the job done.
Internally, you must laugh.
All right. Enough of that. Here we go. I don't know what to say with that other than I think it's ridiculous. I absolutely think it's ridiculous that we're still sitting here. Listen, again, in a way, maybe it's one of those deals where you have to wait and see what Trey Lance can do, but that's a big if. I just don't like, give me Dak. We know he can win. He's only just turned 30. But you will get a better deal now if you sign him now. Unless if you wait until the season starts, all bets are off, because if he gets hurt, it's a risk to him at that point. Now, speaking to that point, I did make a video about this the other day, but anybody who didn't see it, I'm going to play this clip regarding Brian Broaddus, and you'll hear about him and Bobby Belt talk about it. So just listen up.
Yeah. A pretty good track record of it, even when the offensive line coach had some resistance to it, like Joe Philbin did with Tyler Smith.
Yeah.
You are listening to the Love the Star podcast, the Love the Stars and Odyssey podcast. You can find it on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Check it out.
All right, Brian, let's get into these comments from Stephen Jones that came out on Friday, courtesy of Diana Rossini and Chase Daniel on the Athletics' new Scoop City podcast. I'm just going to read through the quote here from Stephen Jones. He was asked about the potential of long-term deals for the Cowboys coach and that nucleus of those three stars, Micah Parsons, Dak Prescott, and CeeDee Lamb. Here's what Stephen Jones had to say. Those things take time, and we're talking about deals here. When you're talking about CeeDee and Dak, and somebody like Micah coming up. You're talking about two players that aren't quarterbacks that feel like they ought to be a little bit like Justin Jefferson, the top-paid non-quarterbacks in the league.
Jefferson's
and then, of course, you have Dak.
Obviously,
his resume speaks for itself. He was second in MVP voting last year. He's just had an extraordinary career here in Dallas. Those things just take time when you're talking about the amount of money involved. And of course, we're trying to a little bit play Houdini and how to keep all these guys around Dak and keep these players we were fortunate enough to draft. Jumping down a little bit, he says, when you start stacking them up like that, it's a challenge. It's not that it's not doable, but you certainly got to have some give and take if you want to do that. I know the Vikings there with Jefferson, when they made that inordinate deal at the receiver spot, they don't have one player on their team other than Jefferson making over $20 million. We've got a big one in Dak. We've got Diggs, Zach Martin, Tank Lawrence, and we've got a lot of guys making quite a bit of money.
Okay.
That's no excuses. We think we can get the...
Here's the deal, though. Zach Martin is either going to retire, which would actually hurt the team. I would like for him to stay on and you sign another 2 years at a void year. I'd like that, but if he's going to retire indeed after the year, then he's gone anyway. D-Law, they're moving on from D-Law, or he's going to come back on a team-friendly deal. That's it. He'll probably move on. But he's got to make a decision, D-Law. Those type players, I understand they're making a lot. I would be more looking at, okay, what do we have on the horizon? Okay. DaRon Bland. I don't know. My dogs are freaking out. DaRon Bland, I would be more concerned about. DaRon Bland, I would be concerned about Jake Ferguson coming up for a contract. I would be concerned with Tyler Smith playing at one of the best. He's made the Pro Bowl. He's one of the best guards in the league. Who else that's huge? I'm talking big money. Those three for sure, right? You're going to have to make a decision on Jalen Tolbert. I don't think he's getting huge money, but you got to make a decision. Brandon Cooks is probably gone after the year. He's in the final year of a deal. That's why I'm excited. I mean, Brandon Cooks, I think, would resign because he loves Dallas. But, we'll see. You can't pay high market. You need Jalen Brooks to succeed. You need these young guys, Ryan Flournoy. We'll see. But anyway, let's listen to the rest.
This done. We can get it done, but it just takes time. And then he finishes up by saying, we're optimistic we can get these things done. I know Dak, our goal is to get him done, and he knows that. We're having conversations with his agent, with Dak personally, both Jerry and myself. He knows our goal is to keep him here. He also understands the challenges. Brian, your general takeaway from that rather lengthy quote from Stephen Jones on their current negotiations.
What got my attention was the conversations with Dak, because Dak has been pretty adamant. I play, Todd France negotiates the contract. Been pretty adamant about that.
Said it a week and a half ago.
If that is the case, then I trust what he's saying. If Stephen Jones today is telling me that they've had conversations with Dak, I hope they brought him in to the Star and gave him a PowerPoint presentation of how this is going to work. And I say it in a way of educate him on the various, I'd say the various levels of his contract. If you were to do this, this is what our football team would look like. If you were to do this, this is what our football team would look like. If you choose to do this, this is what our football team would look like. To quote DeMarcus Lawrence, when he was asked about his contract negotiations with Stephen Jones and all the money that they've outlaid, he said, that's not my problem. That's their problem.
Yeah.
Dak doesn't owe them anything. He really doesn't. He owes them a fair negotiation is what he owes them.
And we're going to leave it there. He owes them a fair negotiation. He does. And listen, at this point, Dak knows it's better to stay in Dallas than to not. But to me, it's egregious that a general manager hasn't done this already. You sit down. That makes Dak a part of the decision process. Dak needs to be more vocal. I've said this about Dak in the past, where he needs to be more vocal about the organization. Oh, well. Where do you think all the BS comes from and the negativity? Sometimes it's leaked from the high offices up top. That's just how it works. You leak it out to your people. Shout out to Michael Gehlken real quick. Michael Gehlken is, after 5 years, the best guy other than Ed Werder, in my opinion, to report fair Dallas news, Cowboy news. He's moving on. He's actually moving up to relocating, or I think his wife's from D.C. area. He's no longer going to cover the beat for the Cowboys. Michael Gehlken, hell of a job, bro. You kept it real. You made people feel uncomfortable in a classy way. So I thought it was great. But Dak, just finishing. I'm getting a little long-winded. Let's finish this up. Don't forget, 3:30 this afternoon Eastern. I'll do a channel member Zoom call. The Zoom link is already in the community tab. So just click on there. I'll do my intro. I'll go live, and then I'll bring everybody in. Anybody who's not a channel member, not a subscriber, a channel member, when you log into me, you'll see a join button. It's $4.99 a month. In the off season, I do 2. I'm going to try and do 2 in the regular season, but I stream a lot of games. It's going to be a lot harder. I'll do at least 1, but right now I'm doing 2 channel member Zoom calls a week. We'll switch the days up, but Sunday is always the day we always lead into Mark Holmes' Zoom at 5. So if you want to be a member, hit that join button. You'll get early release videos. You'll be able to take part in these Zoom calls, which is cool, where I get to see you and hear you. You get to talk to everybody. It's a great time. We have a lot of Eagles subscribers. We have a lot of Cowboys subscribers. We got some commanders, lead commander. We have a few Giants. I'd like to keep it NFC East. I know we have some Niner trolls. I love you, the Real Fan One. Thank you for always being in there. Bang, bang, baby. Bang, bang. You're going to lose Ayuk, I hope. But if there is no join button, then like it seems like we've been having a problem with some people. Log out of YouTube. Do not delete your app. Just log out. Look for Game Time Brian in the search bar. You'll see a join. Hit the join. I have a lot of merch. I'm working on a website. Hasn't been finished quite yet, but I have a lot of merch, such as this hat in many colors. This is a stitched hat. It's I got a lot coming up. If you see behind me here, during our live streams, there's names in here. I draw out names and I give out prizes. I'm not just a pretty face, people. I give back. I got a couple bobbleheads here. I got T-shirts. I got hats. I got some other fun things. But anyway, don't forget, 3:30 Eastern Time, live right here from my mama's basement. I'll talk to everybody later. Peace.